All right, so welcome to our August 4th, 2020 council meeting. It's 7 o'clock, so I'll call the meeting to order. And again, we're here live on YouTube and using Zoom due to the COVID-19. So I'll ask if there's any members of council with any declaration of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. Seeing none, I think, did we just lose Deputy Mayor Hendricks, Morgan?
Yeah, her internet's been a little spotty. She's likely going to call in.
Okay, sounds good. We will continue on without her, and I'm sure she'll pop back on in the meantime. All right, so we have the minutes of the previous meeting, and those are July 6th minutes, July 22nd, and July 29th. We have a mover and seconder for approval of those. Got Buchanan and Councillor Clark. All those in favor? And that's carried. And we have two delegations and events for tonight. So at 7:05, we have Heather Cormack that's coming to speak with us. And at 7:20, we have Jennifer Kirkham with the County of Middlesex, and it's the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. So the correspondence for our meeting today, we have our upcoming meetings. So the next one is a ways away. It's Tuesday, September 8th, followed by September 21st, and then October 5th. Our recommended reading. So item number 1 is the St. Clair Region Conservation Authority, and it's the 2020 June meeting highlights. Item number 2 is from the Assalva Bayfield Conservation Authority, and it's their July 16th agenda for their board of directors, their AGM report for July 16th, 2020, and their June 18th board of directors minutes. Item number 3 is from Blue Water Recycling. It's their July 2020 notes. Item number 4 is from MECP. It's the Environmental Assessment Modernization. Item number 5 is from the MMAH, the Minister's Letter regarding the COVID-19 Economic Recovery Act. And number 6 is from MGCS, moving towards a more digital focused service model for land registration services. We'll move into the action required. Item number 7 is a resolution from the Township of South Glengarry, and it's regarding long-term care homes.
No.
Councillor McKinnon?
I move to support the resolution.
Okay. Do you have a seconder for that one?
I'll second that.
Okay. Is there any discussion at all? All those in favor? And that's carried. Okay, next is a resolution from Chatham-Kent, and it's
Emancipation.
Thank you. Emancipation Day. Is there any support for this one? No one is jumping up and down? All right, moving on to the next one. It's a resolution from Oshawa, and it's the COVID-19 funding.
Yep.
Okay, and I think we have, Deputy Mayor Hendricks, is she back on here by telephone? Okay,
yes, I've come on by phone.
Excellent. I just wanted to make that mention because I think on YouTube you can't see your square with a telephone, so just so everyone realizes that you are here and participating. Next is item number 10. Yep. Perfect.
No,
so item number 10 is from the town of Orangeville, and it's a letter of support for OPP diversity training. Words are hard for me today. I don't know why. It's been a long day. I woke up super early. And then next is item number 11. It's the awards for Fire Chief of the Year, and it's including the 2020 guidelines. There possible motion of support to put nomination forward for our Chief Aaron Nordoff.
Sure.
Okay, Councillor Brody, I saw your hand up, and seconded by Councillor Clark. And that's resolved that council support the nomination of Fire Chief Aaron Nordoff for the Fire Chief of the Year Award for 2020 from the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. All right, I assume we're probably at the right time. We're a little beyond 7:05. So Morgan, do we have Heather Cormack all lined up to join us?
Hello.
Excellent. Welcome,
Hi.
Heather. So we're just at your delegation. So council has received the 4 different documents that you provided to us. So I'll hand it over to you for your presentation.
Oh, okay. So can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Yep, I'm good. Okay, so I'll go ahead with my presentation then. Okay, thank you. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Councillors, thank you for the opportunity to meet with you today. My name is Heather Cormack. I am the Lambton, Kent, Middlesex representative for Canadians for Safe Technology. Canadians for Safe Technology was founded by Frank Clegg a few years ago. Frank was the president of Microsoft Canada for a number of years. He's very knowledgeable about all aspects of technology, including implementation, safety, and health concerns. A 5G appeal was launched in May of this year by 24 organizations, including Canadians for Safe Technology. This 5G appeal is asking the Government of Canada to suspend the rollout of 5G until it is proven safe and requesting the use of safe and reliable fiber connections. This 5G appeal is currently online and open for signatures. To date, over 17,000 individuals and 40 organizations have signed this appeal. So I'm here tonight on behalf of Canadians for Safe Technology to ask the municipality of Adelaide Metcalfe to support this 5G appeal. I have provided you with 3 documents. One is a copy of the 5G appeal in detail with supporting references. One is a copy of the outline from my meeting last week with Leanne Rood, Member of Parliament for Lambton, Kent, Middlesex. And the third is a copy of municipal resolutions that have been submitted to the federal government by other municipalities. Note that on page 4 of the 5G appeal, section number 3, requests that the government provide a meaningful, transparent process for municipalities and their citizens to have a decisive say over the installation of cellular network antennas. I would like to give you a brief outline of the 5G appeal and the key concerns regarding wireless technology. 5G is the next generation of the current technology. It follows 2G, 3G, LTE, and 4G. Cell phones and wireless devices use a radio frequency to communicate. 5G would use a higher frequency than previous generations. The higher the frequency, the shorter the radio wave, so the transmitters would need to be closer together. So in 2014, for example, the wireless cell transmitters were being placed 2 kilometers apart. With 5G, the transmitters would only be 100 meters apart. There is much concern about 5G and wireless technology for 2 main reasons. First, Canada's safety code is outdated, and second, there are numerous health concerns associated with wireless technology. So first, let's talk about Canada's safety code. Health Canada's Safety Code 6 guideline is 10 million microwatts per meter squared. This is the guideline for the radio frequency radiation emitted by all wireless devices, cell phones and antennas, internet modems, tablets, etc. Some other countries have a guideline of 100,000 microwatts per meter squared. So this is 100 times safer than what Canada's safety code is. So after only 6 minutes of exposure to radio frequency radiation at 10 million microwatts per meter squared, a thermal effect was noted for an average size adult man. So this is the safety code in Canada that was developed in 1979 prior to the existence of wireless technology that is in use today. Canada's Safety Code does not reflect the current reality of a proliferation of wireless technology and exposure to radio frequency radiation 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and not only by men, but by women and children, as well as the unborn child, the sick, and elderly. Canada's Safety Code needs to be thoroughly reviewed and updated. The second key concern is that there are numerous scientific studies showing many health concerns related to the radio frequency radiation generated by wireless devices and at levels much lower than our safety code. These health concerns include various types of cancer, including aggressive brain tumors and heart cancers. Studies show that the risk of brain tumors doubles with cell phone usage of only 10 minutes a day, every day for 10 years. Other health concerns noted are fertility issues in men, DNA damage, links to Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. Behavioral issues are noted in children related to maternal cell phone use while pregnant. Electrical hypersensitivity is a more immediate response to radio frequency radiation. The symptoms are numerous and include headaches, difficulty concentrating, nausea, fatigue, dizziness, memory problems, tingling sensations, and tremors. It is estimated that 3% of the population have an immediate reaction. In Canada, that equates to 1 million people. Approximately 20% will develop symptoms over time. The health of many people will be impacted with a lifetime of exposure to radio frequency radiation. It's also important to note that a child's eyes and brain absorb substantially higher amounts of radio frequency radiation than that of an adult. Therefore, a child's health is impacted to a greater extent than that of an adult. 5G uses millimeter waves. Little is known about the health effects of exposure to millimeter waves 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We do know that the U.S. Army uses millimeter waves in crowd dispersal guns called active denial systems. Our sweat ducts may act as antennae for millimeter waves, which can cause point heating and pain. We need to suspend the rollout of 5G until it is proven safe. The second part of the 5G appeal is a request to use safe and reliable fiber connections. There is a choice in how technology is implemented. It can be implemented wirelessly or with the use of hardwired connections, specifically fiber optic cable. Hardwired connections are superior to wireless in every way. Cable is safe, secure, and reliable. It is 100 times faster than wireless, and it generates 10 times less carbon emissions. It is cheaper to implement in the long run, and it has no known health issues. In summary, Canada's safety code to protect us from radio frequency radiation is outdated. There are numerous known health issues associated with wireless technology. Our children are more vulnerable to health issues related to wireless technology. And fiber optic cable is superior to wireless in every way, and it's cheaper in the long run with no known health issues. In conclusion, there must be a moratorium on 5G until it's proven safe. And in order to reduce our exposure to radio frequency radiation, the rollout of any technology should be hardwired with consideration given to the use of fiber optic cable. We must protect our children who will be exposed to this technology for their entire lives. As indicated earlier, on behalf of Canadians for Safe Technology, I am asking the municipality of Adelaide Metcalfe to support the 5G appeal, asking the Government of Canada to suspend the rollout of 5G and to choose safe and reliable fiber connections. Thank you. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Thank you very much, Heather. Is there any questions at all from members of council? I don't see anyone raising their hand. I'd like to thank you, or Councillor Clark.
No, I'm good.
Okay. I'd like to thank you for your presentation, and I think what we'll do is we will take your information. I think staff will likely come back at a future meeting with some information and with the resolution that you presented us as well, and we'll see if council would like to move forward with this.
Okay, thank you. And just so you know, I do have a lot of knowledge and information on this subject. So if you do have any more questions or you require additional information, then please contact me.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your presentation.
Okay, thanks again
Thank
for your
you.
time.
Okay, thank you.
Bye now. No questions?
All right, and I think Morgan, if I could just ask, give you also your second hat with within the county is also the director of IT. So maybe if you could ask you to put together a report, and if you have anything you'd like to add right now, that'd be great.
I don't think there's anything I can add at this time. I'll definitely have to put a report together, and I'm sure many of the other local municipalities in the county will want the same report, so no problem.
Excellent. Okay, thank you, Morgan. Let's look at the time again. So we're almost at the time. Do we have Jennifer on the line, or should we? Okay, so let's before we grab her and put her in here. We did. I did miss a motion. It's just resolved that council receive and file correspondence items CC 1 to 6 and 8 to 10. Councillor McKinnon and seconded by Councillor Brody. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. All right, so if Jennifer is there, we'll add her to the call then. Excellent. Welcome, Jennifer, to our Adelaide Metcalfe Council meeting. Are you able to hear us?
Hi, are you talking to me?
I'm talking to you.
I can hear you.
Excellent. So welcome you. So you're here to talk with us about the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan.
I am. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Oh, it's disabled.
I better let you first. Yeah. So
Thank you.
before Jen jumps into her presentation,
Yep.
this I'm not sure how much council is aware of the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. I had hoped that this had probably gotten to you before, I think, February. When did we start this, Jen? In late February?
Yes. Yeah, late February. Yeah.
Yeah, so this has been going on for a little bit. Basically, every municipality, well, local municipality in Middlesex County anyway, requires a community safety and wellbeing plan. And Jen will go into the details. But one of the things that Cindy Howard and I were working on at the county was finding collaborative ways for our local CAOs across Middlesex County to work together to achieve common goals. One of the projects that we talked quite a bit about was municipal modernization. Another one of the projects that we talked about was the community safety and wellbeing plan. And essentially what we were able to do with this is all the CAOs decided it was a good idea to create one plan that recognized the individuality of each of the local municipalities. What that allowed us to do was consolidate costs and efforts because, so for example, this plan is going to cost the collective about $35,000, where it otherwise could have cost each local municipality north of $20,000 per. Now we're in the ballpark of about 5 to 7 per municipality, which is a better use of funds for sure. But the other thing that it allowed us to do is consolidate resources. So Cindy Howard is also the Director of Social Services. So rather than her sit on 8 different situation tables resulting of the community safety and wellbeing plan, now she gets to sit on one table that works across the county rather than individually. So what I'll do is I'll kick it over to Jen. She's got more background and knowledge in this topic than I do. And if you have any questions, feel free to jump in there.
Great. Thanks. I'm just going to pull up my screen for you. All right, so as Morgan, he gave a really great introduction to the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. As he said, Middlesex municipalities are working together to develop, I'm calling it a shared Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. So noting that as part of the planning process, we'll be looking for priorities in community safety and wellbeing that cross the geographic area of Middlesex County, but also probing to see if there are any unique pieces that we need to focus on in each of the municipalities. So there'll be opportunities for that as we develop the plan as well. So as Morgan said, the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan is a mandated plan. So it's required under the province's Safer Ontario Act. So every municipality across Ontario is working on a developing Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan or have developed one. The plans, community safety and wellbeing is something that the province has been looking at since about 2012. They started releasing a number of different sort of snapshots of what's going on in terms of safety and wellbeing across the province. And then that culminated in a community safety and wellbeing planning framework that was released in 2017. And at that point, they decided that they would ask every municipality to develop a community safety and wellbeing plan. And when we think about community safety and wellbeing, they're thinking more broadly than the traditional definition of crime, like safety and crime, which people usually think about when they think about safety in a community, and broadening it out to also including looking at the social determinants of health. So looking at things such as housing, poverty, employment, education, early learning and development. So looking at all of those things that actually create well-being or wellness in a community. What they've asked you to do as part of your plan is to identify priority risks across your community, and then to develop some actions or strategies to actually improve community safety and well-being. The plan was originally to be adopted by municipal councils by January 1, 2021, but with COVID-19, that deadline has been extended. The province hasn't provided a date as of yet, but when I show you the timelines, you're going to see we're still pretty much on track. We lost probably a month to 6 weeks in terms of work, but we're still tracking for Q1 completion of the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. The other things the province mandated was that each community should have a multi-sectoral advisory committee. I'm going to tell you a little bit about your advisory committee in a minute, and that you just don't sort of sit down in a room and write a plan, but you go out and conduct consultations and engage with your community in terms of writing the plan. So when we think about the Middlesex approach, we're approaching the development in 4 phases that you'll see with that sort of wheel in front of you. Phase 1 is all about getting ready to start the project. So it was project planning and onboarding, where we met with a project steering committee. We developed the advisory committee and gave a bit of an orientation to them so they'd understand what the plan was about and gave some input in terms of how we're going to be moving forward as a community in terms of developing the plan. Second phase, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute, is research and asset mapping. So that's really looking at what data we have about our community in terms of safety and well-being, as well as local research that's being conducted, what's going on right now in terms of strategies and initiatives around community safety and well-being. Third phase is the big one. It's community engagement. So that's where we go out and talk to a lot of people about community safety and well-being. And then once we've done those first 3 phases, we'll actually develop the plan. So in terms of timing, you'll see that we just completed the onboarding. So we had an initial project steering committee meeting at the very beginning of March, and then everything shut down. So it took us a while to get back on track and to get everyone used to working in a virtual environment and get everyone onboarded. So we had an advisory committee meeting to get them onboarded in early June. So phase 1 is now complete. Phase 2, we are almost complete, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. So it's running us through to August. We've already started in phase 3 in the community engagement piece, which will run us through October. And then, as I said, once we've finished phase 3, we'll move into the plan development. We'll be identifying priority risks. We'll be looking at what's already happening in each of those areas, identifying any new actions or initiatives that we want to put in place, and also developing a performance measurement framework to go with it. So that will be running from November until March of 2021. So let me just give you a bit of an update around each of the phases. So as I said, phase 1 was really about getting the project off the ground. So as I said, we had a project steering committee meeting. So the project steering committee is comprised of all of the municipal CAOs from each of the 8 participating municipalities, as well as the County of Middlesex. And then there are 2 elected officials on the project steering committee as well. So the Middlesex County Warden and 1 councillor is also on the project steering committee. And then, as the province asked, we've also developed an advisory committee, which you'll see is very diverse. So we have 19 members on the advisory committee. And if you take a look at the sectors that are represented, we've tried to get representatives from almost all of the sectors that we'll be looking at when we start to think about community safety and well-being. So from the health sector, the mental health, protective services, which includes our police, our OPP, our emergency medical services. We've got housing, food security, substance use and addictions, a funder, government, persons with disabilities, seniors, child protection, violence against women, economic development, employment, education, children, and families. The advisory committee is really key to the process because what they'll be doing is working with me and the project steering committee in terms of taking a look at the data that we collect and all of the information that we collect through the community engagement process and helping to identify priority risks. So that's why we wanted to make sure that we had really good broad cross section of members on the advisory committee. So really good take up on that. So that's phase 1, which I noted earlier is completed. So phase 2, we are getting near completion of that. So that's really looking at the community safety and wellbeing plan should be evidence informed, which means it should be based on evidence or data that's available in each community. So right now we're just completing data collection and analysis of all of the data we've collected, and there will be a data package as part of that. And you'll see in the little gray boxes on the screen that we have collected data in 14 different areas with multiple indicators in each area. So if you look at, for example, crime, we'd be looking at all of the different types of crimes, numbers of crimes. So lots of different indicators in each of those 14 areas. What we've tried to do with the data is, as much as possible, to drill the data down to the municipal level so that if data was available for Adelaide Metcalfe, you would see that. You'd see it for Strathroy Caradoc. If it's not available, it would probably be at the Middlesex County level or at a health unit level. But for the most part, we're trying to drill it down to the lowest level as possible so that, again, we can see if there are any unique attributes across each of the municipalities that comprise the bigger Middlesex County. And what we'll do then, once we have all the data, as I said, it'll go into a data package with key highlights, so an analysis, what's going on in terms of crime. And then if you love numbers, like some people, you can go back and look in the attachments and take a peek at all of the data that's there. So that will be completed in August. We're almost done with that. Phase 3 is the community engagement piece. We have a number of activities on the go right now. So we initiated an initial online survey with community partners. It was sent out to over 180 different community organizations and service providers across the county. And I called it an initial survey because we asked them some initial questions. We asked them, does your agency or organization collect any data that you think will be helpful to us to have to inform the development of the plan? Because sometimes organizations collect service level statistics that you don't see publicly. So we asked them about that. We asked them if they were aware of any local research that had been done that could help inform the plan. And then we asked them what they thought should be the top 5 priorities in the plan in terms of community safety and well-being. And we asked that 2 different ways. We said, think about Middlesex County overall. What do you think the priorities should be? And then I asked if there were any unique pieces in each of the municipalities. So gave them a list of all the municipalities and said, tell me if there are unique aspects in any of these municipalities that we need to be aware of as we think about community safety and well-being. So we're just wrapping up that survey. I still had another response come in today. We're at about 51 responses to that initial survey with our community partners. We also, late last week, have started to engage with the general public around community safety and well-being. So you'll see that there is an online survey for people to complete. The online survey is fairly lengthy. It provides people with the 18 different elements of community safety and well-being, and really will help us to gauge their perception of how safe and well they feel they are as individuals, how they feel the municipality is doing, and how they feel overall Middlesex County is doing in each of the 18 elements that we've asked them to look at in terms of community safety and well-being. So that will give us a really good gauge on what the public perception is of community safety and well-being across the county. The other piece that we have available is we're asking people, we call it a share a story feature. So we've asked them to tell us what would be different if their community was safe and well, or what it would look like for them. And they can either tell us in a story format, they can take a picture and upload it. So it's sort of an open-ended piece where people can share what community safety and well-being means to them as well. And that's available on the community safety and well-being website for people to engage that way. Once we've done the survey and the share a story, which we're probably going to keep open till about Labor Day-ish, depending on the number of responses, then we're going to move into each of the municipalities and have community conversations, again, with people of the public around what community safety and well-being means to them and what they'd like to see happen. We've asked people as part of the online survey to identify if they'd be interested in meeting with us to chat about it. So hopefully we'll have a number of people who will volunteer to be a part of a community conversation circle this fall. And then after we've completed that, then we will sort of take a step back with the advisory committee and the project steering committee to identify what other groups or populations or people that we need to talk to continue to be able to gather information or sort of further hone what we want to have in the community safety and well-being plan. So that should take us to about the end of October in terms of gathering information through the community engagement process. So lots of opportunity for you to share the general public survey and the share a story feature. That would be really helpful for us to ensure that we hear from residents who live in Adelaide Metcalfe. So then moving into the plan development. So we'll have all the data and research looked at. We'll have all of the information we've collected through the community engagement process through our general public. We will do some local asset mapping. You'll see in the little blue piece, which is what's already underway in each of our communities, because we don't want to duplicate activities or strategies that are already happening. Then we'll do some work with our community partners and our advisory committee to talk about what are those top challenges, issues, and our risks in our communities, and what else should we be doing, and actually begin to develop the plan. And as I said, that's something that we'll be doing sort of through November into Q1 of 2021, with then an opportunity for you as a local council to take a look at the plan and provide us with some feedback prior to your approval. So that's sort of where we are in terms of the process. So as I said, there's a website, which is a great resource. It's got the link to the online survey. It's got the share a story feature on it. There's also an email address if people want to email, if they have questions about the project, if they want to contribute or be involved and they're not sure how to do it, they can email as well. So right now we're really in that focused phase of community engagement and gathering information that way. And then once we have further updates, we'll be glad to come back and share them with you. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have or hear any comments that you have about the process.
So thank you so much, Jennifer. Is there any questions at all? I see Councillor Clark.
Jennifer, I just am curious, in our municipality, the OPP and the hospitals currently collect data that they then provide to the council. So is that something that you have access to, or do you have to get that through each municipality?
So OPP have provided me with their statistics. Hospital hasn't. I do have data from your situation table as well. So yeah, it would be agencies have been requested to send in information, but if there's data you think would be helpful from your hospital for me to gather, or if you have it as a council, then I could ask Morgan to maybe gather it for me.
Well, I was just thinking for people using certain services, we do know based on presentations by the Newbury Hospital, the Stratford, which Adelaide Metcalfe, not specific ratepayers, but the number of ratepayers that actually use those two hospitals. So that information is available. The other thing I was wondering, the 19 advisory groups, or if you will, so did they make up your focus group, or they're just your advisory committee?
They're just an advisory committee. So whenever we're going out to talk to what I'll call more like service providers or organizations, I have a list of community partners and community organizations, and it's 180 plus. So the 180 plus are being engaged through surveys, discussion groups, working sessions. The advisory group is really, I work with them more, put your heads down, well, let's work through stuff, and then we'll take it back out to the community for some further feedback.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, is there any other questions at all? Yep, Morgan.
Just a quick comment. So we haven't launched the survey on Adelaide Metcalfe social media yet because I wanted you folks to hear, I wanted council to hear what the community safety and wellbeing plan was all about. So starting tomorrow, we'll start to promote the survey and all those other fun things that help us feed information back to Jen.
So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Councillor Clark.
Yeah, sorry, just one other question. So I'm assuming the advisory committee is your WRRC, Middlesex Community Living, your health unit, partners at CCAC and whatever. So are they able to provide statistics to you as well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to seeing the plan come together and with all the input that we have from our community.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so it looks like we have our drainage superintendent has joined our clerk. So that must mean that our next report is our drainage superintendent's report.
Okay. Well,
There we go.
You have my report. I don't know if you have any questions with regards to it. I've consulted with Mike DeVos on this, and he's made some suggestions that in looking at the report, and so those recommendations have been included here on my report. That so if you wish to follow this, we would end up sending out new bills to the landowners. A couple of them are going to pay more, and one's going to pay less.
Is that the extent of your report? Okay.
Well,
Councillor McKinnon, you have a question?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Curtis, to Jim. Will you be sending, if the report is approved to revise the invoices, will you be sending Mike's letter along with the revision?
I wasn't planning on doing that. I guess what I was looking at was just saying that we've found made an error in the calculation of the assessments, and here's revised numbers. I can, but sometimes I feel the more information you give, the more ammunition you give people to come back on you too. So.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
Okay, is there any other questions or comments on this one? Councillor Brody?
So through Mayor to Jim, so that's just going to be on the assessment. The Ingolds are still going to get the same bills for the other work, correct?
For the one drain, what I recommended, because the bill essentially said it was for connections to the tile on that Ingold drain, it would stay the same, but on the Ingold field, yeah, they would get a reduction on theirs with the revisions. So,
Yeah, but they get a reduction on the assessment, right?
just on the assessment, yes.
Just on the assessment, yeah. So when they were asking to look at cheaper gravel and all that stuff, we're not going there, correct?
No, Mike's recommendation with this, and talk to, like, it can kind of get out of hand, because they had made a lot of requests for things here. Most of them were, it's not warranted. He suggested you start reviewing that potentially that there's some more acreages coming into the watershed than what was specified. You have to go on to private property, get permission to go on private property, and find out whether that's factual or not, and that can get extremely expensive.
Yeah.
As far as the assessment schedule itself, Mike said to go back and do a section 78 and revise it. He felt that the assessment schedule really wasn't that bad. It's just this circumstance where the location of where the repair occurred did assess the Ingolds fairly heavily. So that's why the adjustments were recommended. So.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Is there any other questions at all? Seeing none, so we have two motions in front of us. The first one is just to receive the report. Councillor Clerk and Councillor McKinnon, all those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. And the second one is resolve that council directs staff to follow the adjustment recommendations to the assessments for the Ingold Field Drain Repair 2019 as presented by the drainage engineer. The invoices be recalculated with the noted revisions.
I'll move that.
Deputy Mayor Hendricks and Councillor McKinnon. Is there any further discussion on this? All those in favor? And that's carried.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Jim.
Okay.
You can stick around if you want, but I assume you'll be. There we go. You're already out the door.
I'm already out the door.
All righty. So our next report is from our CBO, Shannon Black, and you have a verbal update for us.
Good evening. Yes, I just wanted to update you on where my department is at. So currently, I am doing all the inspections and issuing permits within Southwest as per the joint services agreement. We still have Paul helping 2 days a week. This is his last week, assisting 2 days a week with doing some inspections. I'm also doing inspections and issuing the permits in Adelaide Metcalfe. And I'm also issuing permits over in North Middlesex right now as well, with some assistance on the inspection side from Middlesex Center still, until there's 2 building department staff that we have hired. One is a full-time permanent position, and one is a full-time 2-year contract position. That they will both be starting on August 10th. I believe I didn't scroll down, so I hope that the appointment bylaw is at the bottom so that they can actually do some inspections once they start. And they will also be appointed in North Middlesex tomorrow night. And then they will be appointed in Southwest not till the 12th, but that will allow them to do inspections. So I've just been feeling the waters right now to see how things go and how things are currently run. So we will be making changes. Once I get staff on board, it will be a lot easier to make those changes and to try and create some consistency across all 3 municipalities just for the joint services portion. We are also going to be doing a fee study. So I've reached out and been in touch with a gentleman who I've used before for a fee study. And through the procurement bylaw, we were able to sole source. So we've started to gain the information that he's going to need in order for us to be able to do the fee study. The intent of the fee study will be to get us as close as possible to cost recovery. Unfortunately, it probably will be a big spike. So in previous municipalities, what had happened, you may say we're going to go 80% of what we need to be, and then the next year we'll go an additional 10%, and the next year we'll go an additional 10% to get us to that 100. And then from there on out, we'll go cost of living in the construction index, just to keep us to increasing the fees so that we don't fall so far behind. So that's where kind of things are at as far as the department goes. All 3 municipalities are busier than I anticipated, so that's a great thing. And again, that will allow the staff who are coming on board to be able to do the inspections while I work on the back end to set stuff up and attend meetings and comment on site plans and other things that are needed. So I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, it's going good. It's busy. And right now it's a little bit tricky trying to be in 3 places at once. So, but yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Hey, thank you, Shannon. Is there any questions at all? Councillor Brody?
How are you making out on prioritizing stuff that's been left lingering in our municipality, dragging on and dragging on and dragging on? Is that a priority to get some of these big issues cleaned up, or are they getting shoved back again?
I will be honest, it's difficult right now as one person trying to cover all 3, but that's where I am looking forward to the staff coming on board, because both staff are able to go out and do inspections. As per the joint services agreement, they're required to be in all 3 municipalities 3 days a week, which is why we ended up having to go with 2 inspectors in order to be able to fulfill that, and then to be able to allow me to deal with those issues that have been pushed behind. So we'll be able to bring those to the forefront and be able to address those and deal with those and start closing out some of the old permits, addressing some of the issues and concerns that are lingering. So again, just 1 more week of just trying to juggle everything, and then I will be delving into the required and tricky situations.
Councillor Brody?
We just need to realize that these people have been waiting a lot longer than that, and it is their livelihoods and their businesses and their homes. It can't be shoved back. We need to make stuff like that a priority. We have to work for the people in our municipality, not make it tough on them. I've been getting quite too many phone calls that were getting too hard to deal with.
Mr. Mayor, do you mind if I step in there for a sec?
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, so just to kind of address Councillor Brody's comments there, we've absolutely been moving as fast as we can, given the situation that we're in. A lot of time, we've lost a lot of time because of COVID-19. And then we've lost more time because we're working towards implementing a joint shared service across 3 municipalities. So I actually have to commend Shannon, because she's making this sound a lot simpler than it has been. There's a lot of operational challenges that we've been faced with, even just trying to get this service onboarded in kind of like that phase 1, from access right down to even access to files across 3 municipalities. Everybody has kind of different systems, different processes, different administrative assistants, and different ways of doing business. The other 2 municipalities also have big files or matters to deal with as well. So Shannon's been very good at moving the tough ones that we've identified as priorities internally forward. I know that she's had a lot of back and forth with a couple of those files as well. And there is some process things that needed to be cleaned up from the beginning. And again, I think I've talked about going back to question number 1, getting back to the beginning so that we can just move forward. and make this a more customer service and customer friendly type of service. So yeah, Councilor Brody, absolutely hear you. We do need to work for the people, and we are really trying to get these things in place. We're just trying to get a lot of pieces of the puzzle together so that we can start providing those core services in a timely and efficient way.
That's good. I just want everybody to know that, to remember that we do work for the people here, not we
absolutely
can't make it hard on them. Like,
yeah, and in some cases, well, actually, most cases, we're not trying to make it difficult. It's just we're stuck to the law, and we can't break the law to fix another issue, and that's just the unfortunate situation that we're faced. So yeah, hear you loud and clear.
Okay, is there any other questions at all for Shannon? Okay, seeing none, I just want to add that I think with this new joint building department, I think the one thing that will make it successful is if having all three of our municipalities rally behind this department and build them up. So then the community knows that just there's one department throughout the three municipalities, that they are working individually for each of the municipalities and working hard to provide the level of service that we require for Adelaide Metcalfe, North Middlesex, and South Middlesex. And during our first meeting that we had, and with the three CAOs and the three mayors, that's the one thing that we said, is that when Shannon and her team, when they're in whichever municipality they are, they're an employee of that area. Just like when you look at planning, when Erin Betch is in Adelaide Metcalfe, she's our employee. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this come together. And I think once you have, I believe it's Sandy and Josh jump on board next week, I think you'll be hitting the ground running, and I think it'll take off and it'll work out very well. So if there's no other questions, I just want to thank you, Shannon. And I'm not sure if you're going to be like Jim and run away from us, or you're going to stick on whatever one you want to do. You can see how we do things here with our council meetings. So, okay, thank you so much, Shannon. So our next staff report is the Public Works Manager, and Coulter is taking some well-deserved holidays. So I don't know who's going to kind of go over that report. Is it Jennifer?
Yeah, I can. So it's basically just an information report that Coulter put together, and it's just giving council an update of what he's been working on in his department. We've had the landfill operator position was filled, and it's been working out very well with having 2 people at the landfill, keeping COVID-19 in everyone's mind. We've had quite a few people use the landfill. Repairs to Napier Bridge are complete. We did put out notices on our Facebook page and on our website regarding that. The bonnet wearing course application to Catesville Drive is targeted to start last week, the week of July 27th. That I don't know if it has taken place. I know we've received quite a bit of rain, so I suspect there's probably been a little bit of delay in that. And the playground equipment at Clerk Report has reopened to the public, and residents are reminded that the playgrounds are unsupervised and the facilities are not regularly sanitized, and there are signs put up at the park to remind residents of that when they're using our facilities.
Okay, is there any questions at all that I can relay back to Coulter?
It's Mary Ann here. I'm just wondering if we survived the rains through the township, or did we have any emergency cleanup to do?
Through you, Mayor Smith, to Deputy Mayor Hendricks. A couple weeks ago on a Sunday, we had the one storm come through. It was more of the south portion that was harder hit on Mollaferry Drive. Other than that, we've been faring just fine. I know we've had a couple alarms go off at the sewers for Kerwood, and Coulter was on call then as Erin was off on a deserved vacation. So between phone calls and texts, Coulter managed to look after that. It's just when we get high rains, it's to be expected that groundwater is going to filter into the sewers. And it sets off an alarm once it gets to a certain height. But other than that, there's been no issues.
Oh, that's good.
Excellent. And Jennifer, have we put any notification out on our social media and on our website saying that the Kerwood Park is reopened?
Yes.
Perfect.
I don't know if it's on our website, but I know we put it on our Facebook page with the poster.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we need a motion to resolve that council received the Public Works information report prepared by the Public Works Manager. Okay, Councillor McKinnon and Councillor Clark, all those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. And we'll move into the clerk's report.
Thanks, Mayor Smith. My first report there is just a comparison for council. It's just food for thought, just information that just compares us with the other lower tier municipalities in Middlesex County of where our residential rate is. And bear in mind that this is just our rate. That does not include the county or education piece to it.
Okay, is there any questions at all? None. So we just need a motion to resolve that council received the residential property tax comparison for 2020 staff report as presented by the clerk acting treasurer. Okay, Councillor Brody and Councillor McKinnon. Councillor Brody and Councillor McKinnon, sorry, Deputy Mayor. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried.
My second report is regarding janitorial services. As council may know, we've been without janitorial services for some time. And under our procurement policy, a department head can make the decision to go ahead and seek out services as long as quotes are obtained. I reached out to 4 different providers, got 3 quotes back, and made the decision to hire Giles Janitorial out of Glencoe. Their first one was Monday, yesterday being the holiday. Big difference in here with what we've been dealing with. Staff up until then was taking turns and looking after our own stations, but it's quite welcoming to have a janitorial service that's in that is also COVID-19 aware, so there's extra sanitation when it comes to door handles, doorknobs, light switches. And you'll see later on, I've brought forth a clean desk policy, and the two kind of go hand in hand. It's to basically not only help the cleaners when they can clean our desk areas, but it's there's also another reason to have a clean desk policy, and I'll get into that when I get to my next report. So in our procurement policy, a department manager is authorized to make emergency purchases that exceed 25,000. This is nowhere near that. Council budgeted 8,000 in the budget, but because we've been without a cleaner for some time, the budget for this year will be roughly 5,000, and that's if we were to wash the walls for 2020. And windows and walls are being considered in 2021 during the first of spring. So as you can see, we're going to come in slightly a little bit under the budget. However, for 2021 budget, we're going to have to take into consideration that if we have COVID-19 pandemic either still in place, or if it comes back with the second wave as they're predicting, we'll have to incorporate more into the budget for 2021 to reflect those services.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Is there any questions at all? Okay, seeing none, so we have the recommendation there to resolve that council receive the janitorial services staff report as presented by the clerk acting treasurer. Okay, Councillor Brody, seconded by Seconder. Okay, Councillor McKinnon. Any discussion at all? All those in favor?
Aye.
That's carried. I think that's the first time since I've been on council that we've actually gone through any kind of quotation process. So it's been a while.
They're bonded, correct? They will be bonded. That's one of the criteria. Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
My next report is regarding a clean desk policy. This is something that I've always wanted to see in municipal government. A lot of times staff gets busy into their day-to-day work and they don't realize that some documents that might be left out on their desk are privy to eyes that shouldn't see the documents. So this helps ensure with confidentiality, and it also provides a clear and comprehensive understanding of information security and clean desk requirements, which helps with janitorial services. So you'll see attached there, I have the policy attached. I also had the county IT look at it because there's a little bit of a section in there where staff has been known to work from home, and that might become more of a norm. It just depends on what COVID-19 does. So it's important that there's a IT perspective be put into the clean desk policy as people do work from home and have access to municipal information.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Is there any questions at all on the policy? So we have a recommendation there that council receive the clean desk policy. Staff report is presented by the clerk acting treasurer, and the council approve the policy as presented with the implementation date effective immediately.
So moved.
Councillor Clark and Councillor McKinnon, or Councillor Brody, I'm sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried.
Like Curtis or Mayor Smith, I'd just like to comment that when I asked about the clean desk policy a couple of months ago, I was actually quite surprised that there wasn't one in existence. So I'm glad to see we're moving ahead with that because the confidentiality piece is very important.
Yeah. Morgan?
Yeah, to add to Councillor Clark's comments there, the other thing that we'll be working on is a privacy policy for Adelaide Metcalfe. And that one speaks more broadly to how we handle confidential information or personal information or personal health information or even just confidential or proprietary information. So this clean desk policy is a little bit about the cart before the horse, so to speak, but Jen will have a nice privacy policy that will help us even do program delivery and you know, just allow us to think of things a little differently than we have in the past. So absolutely important.
My next staff report is the accounts payable from July 3rd to July 28th for the summary of $410,463.60.
Is there any questions at all on the accounts?
Yeah, it's Marianne. I have one on the under drain ledger. On the first page, there's a couple things for Middlesex Center, Wood Drive maintenance. Is that to do with that drain and the road that kind of fell apart shortly after paving? Like that's a year and a half ago or 2 years ago?
Just bear with me because my iPad is not loading. Yes, it is. So okay. You'll notice you're going to see some bylaws and some invoices for drainage because this was some of the work that staff has been working through to clean up. So you're probably going to see more invoices and more bylaws come to council for just to get through some of these older files that need cleaned up.
Okay, is there any other questions at all? Seeing none, we need a motion to resolve that council receive the invoice payment approval staff report as presented by the clerk acting treasurer, and that the council approve the accounts listing for the period of July 3rd, 2020 to July 28th, 2020 in the amount of $410,463.60. Mover and second.
I'll move.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Hendricks, seconded by somebody. There we go, Councilor McKinnon. All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, that's good. Do we need to get up and jump around? Do a dance? I don't know. We'll move on to the next one. Jennifer.
It's my last report, and I promise it's not anything spectacular, but it's my last report. Basically, it's just to give council an up-to-date on expenses that we've done to date for the 2020 budget from what council approved back in May for the 2020 budget. So it's just a simple report of what we spent to date versus what you budgeted. Because nothing has been brought to council yet this year.
It's Deputy Mayor Hendricks. I'd like to thank you. That is the first time I've seen one of these, and I've always wondered why it couldn't be done before, but thank you very much.
Through Mayor Smith to Deputy Mayor Hendricks, it's not a difficult report. It's basically just making sure everything is entered in, and then you just hit a button. We've got the programs to do it. It's just again, it's just staff time to make sure everything's in there and up to date, uploading the budget, and then clicking a button to create the report. So I certainly didn't do this all on my own. I have 2 financial assistants that have been assisting me greatly with a lot of this stuff. So without them, I wouldn't be able to get half this stuff to you guys.
Is there any questions on this at all? Seeing none, we need a motion to resolve that council receive the 2020 budget expenditure staff report as presented by the clerk acting treasurer. Councilor Brody, Councilor McKinnon, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Alrighty. Next on our agenda is other business, and we have a note there that we need to schedule our next electronic planning meeting for early September. So hopefully we'll take a look at their figure that out.
Yeah, so through Mayor Smith, that's just a reminder to put on for council if they could come up with a date for the first week of September. And we can have planning notices go out this week prior to me taking vacation, and we'll meet all the timelines in the Planning Act. If council can pick a date between September 1 and I'm going to say September 3rd, because I can't imagine council wanting to do a meeting on a Friday.
Councilor McKinnon?
I'm available first, second, and third. So whatever is good for everyone else, all those dates I have available.
Councilor Brody?
I may be back in the 3rd, but I'm not sure.
That's prior to the long weekend, is it?
Yeah.
Week? Okay.
So I don't know if I'll be back or not.
Yeah, I'm available all week. I'm just camping 20 minutes away, so it's not a big deal.
This would be virtual, will it not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
it will be.
I'm available.
So why don't we plan for the 3rd then, hoping that Councilor Brody would be back. Does that make sense? That gives you the days as well for notices and everything else.
Unless you want to do it during the day, or is that not normal? On the Friday during the day, if that gives more time, or no? Or that's a long weekend, so no one will be here.
So we're thinking September 3rd at like in the evening at 7 o'clock.
That's fine.
Okay, so do we need a motion for that, I assume? So if that looks good for everybody, it'd be resolved that council schedule the next virtual planning meeting for September, so that's Thursday, September 3rd at 7 o'clock, and that staff be directed to post the meeting date information on the township website and Facebook page.
Yep. So moved.
Okay, Councilor McKinnon, seconded by Councilor Brody.
I'll do that. No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And that. Hey, is there anything else for other business before we go into the closed session? Being none. So we need to have a motion then. Motion somewhere. Here it is. Resolve that council hold a closed session meeting as provided for in section 239 of the Municipal Act as amended. So that's 239(2)B, D, and F of the Municipal Act. And we'll be going in at what time is it? 8:12. Mover and seconder. Councilor Brody, seconded by Councilor Clark. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. And for anybody watching on YouTube, so we're going to be cutting the live stream off now, and I'll get a head nod, yes or no, from Morgan. We'll be going back live stream following opening the closed session, so we'll be back live streaming following the closed session meeting.